This is the best of series, and started in the book of Revelation, and then we did Jude. Today we're going to do 3rd John. We're going backwards from Revelation to Genesis, and we're picking out my favorite verses and my favorite thoughts from each of the books in that reverse sequence. And here in 3rd John, we have a shorter book than Jude. We have 14 verses instead of 25 verses. And we have 3 main characters. We have Gaius, we have um, Demetrius, and we have Diothus. And we have a book of encouragement to Gaius, and we have a warning to Diothus and Dives. And we have Demetrius is probably the one who delivered the letter. And there's probably 5 points in this particular 14 verse book, but nevertheless, it's dealing mainly with 2 characters, and Gaius being the good guy, he being one of integrity and truth and hospitality and supporting missions, while Diothenes is one who has got filled with pride and is probably one of misconduct. And so we see a contrast between 2 people. The verse that most commentaries would say is the focal verse is verse 11, which says, "Do not initiate evil, but what is good. The one who does good is of God, and the one who does evil has not seen God." And that gives us the contrast between these 2 men, Diothenes and Gaius, Gaius being the good guy. However, when I read this passage of scripture, the verse that really jumps out at me as a pastor and one who's pastored for 35 years, 27 in the same church, is verse 4. And it becomes very personal for me, because it says, "I have no greater joy than this, to hear my children walking in the truth." Not too long ago, when I celebrated our 56th anniversary with Lois, and when it went onto the internet, a woman who was a teenager at Southside Baptist Church when I started there, and became a woman during the years that I was there, and then I had the privilege of doing pre-marriage counseling and the wedding for her, commented on our 56th anniversary. And what she commented was a principle of 2 people drawing closer to God, which causes them to draw closer to each other. And she made the comment that they will never forget that teaching that I gave them about that, and they have used that in their marriage many times to stay in harmony with one another, making sure that their eyes were on Jesus and not on each other. That's a wonderful thing for a pastor, to be able to see somebody that's been married for a number of years and has been able to use what was taught, not my ideas initially, God's ideas at first, taught by many people besides me, but nevertheless, verse 4 really smacks me right in the face and says, "I have no greater joy than this, to hear of my children walking in the truth." And what a joy it is to hear the testimonies of some of those that I've had the opportunity to minister to share God's truth with, and then to hear that they've applied those truths to their lives and that they're working, and as a result, they're happy, and in this case, having happily married. So that's a wonderful verse for me. I think that if you're a teacher or a leader in a church, that could be a wonderful verse for you as well. But we see a contrast here of Gaius and Diothenes, with one being full of pride and corruption, and the other one being a truth bearer, and one who's hospitable, and one who supports missions. And we see the the contrast of the two, and it tells us to be an example of the good and not of the evil. When we are good, we exemplify that God is in us, and when we do evil, it would indicate that God may not be in us and certainly is not in control of our lives. But I hope that you have some children, some spiritual children. I've always said that everybody ought to have a Paul, somebody that pours into them, and they ought to have a Timothy, somebody that they can pour into. And I've had the opportunity of having a lot of Timothys, and it's a wonderful, great joy to hear that my children are walking in the truth of God. And that's my thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.